of a speech read at the press conference held in Abuja on Tuesday, December 8, 2020 by March for Nigeria movement to draw the attention of the world and security agencies to desperate elements in Nigeria and their external collaborators out to force a regime change through a military coup and use of violence. Protocols. We welcome you all to this all-important press conference. We say it is all-important press conference because the issue at hand touches the future of Nigeria, our stability as a nation, and the sustenance of our democracy. In recent days, we have observed a change in tactics by those that have been hell-bent on undermining the integrity of Nigeria. The change in tactics manifested as a surreptitious call for the President Muhammadu Buhari to resign or to be impeached over conditions that they help precipitate. Note that the reasons they are adducing to the so-called impeachment hovers around insecurity and economic hardship. Interestingly, the opposition PDP, People's Democratic Party, is at the forefront of the impeachment fears. The PDP caucus of the House of Representatives tabled this ill-advised demand before the Green Chamber. But we thank God that there are still voices of reason in the parliament which have rejected the RAB demand. We recall correctly that the PDP's candidate in the 2019 general election, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, had threatened that the country will be rendered ungovernable if he does not win the election. There were groups that had raised the alarm when the PDP made the threat, then without many Nigerians paying heed. At this time, it was revealed how the opposition has perfected plans to hire foreign mercenaries to unleash violence in part of the country. And this is what we are increasingly seeing with the kidnappers and bandits spilling all over from Mali, Niger, and other nations whose nationality appears similar to Nigerians. We have also seen signs of the then reported plot to use mob actions or an Arab Spring-style protest to cause chaos and force the government out of office. The other option, the mode at that time, was to cause a leadership change in the military and then encourage junior military officers to stage a coup, citing the protest as a basis to truncate the national democracy. Gentlemen of the press, what we are witnessing today is a rollout of the approach into one of the executing as a single killer plan. They have caused widespread insecurity, including leveraging political varieties to cause the death of dozens of rice farmers at the hands of Boko Haram. They have hijacked what was once known as NSAS protests to use against the government as opposed to the original intention of demanding the police reform. These same people are now sounding strident as they demand that there must be change in military leadership. We are concerned that they are now back to mobilizing Nigerians to go back to the street to stage violent protests, while the fallout of the hijacked NSAS protests are still being managed. The entire country is smarting from the damage done by the violent people that were mobilized to the streets to commit arson, prison break, and murder. These criminals' attempts on the stability of Nigeria are being boosted with fake news and manipulated content that have done much to create confusions in the minds of the people. The next few days will prove pivotal as operatives acting on the instructions of the opposition have perfected plans to launch a blaze of fake news that will make Nigeria question the future of our country. and the competence of our leaders. The objective of this blitz is to make people join the revived NSAS protest out of misdirect anger. There is further a plot to cause ethno-sectarian strife on the scale that law enforcement would have challenged bringing under control. The major target in the days ahead is the armed forces, which they plan to bring down by overwhelming its crisis situation that it cannot fully bring under control. Towards this, meetings were held in Lagos by the former president and some ethnic warlords, and these strategies were discussed. This round of NSAS protests, like the hijacked phase of the protests in the past, is being sponsored and promoted by losers in the last presidential election who want to force a regime change. Part of the plans is to cause widespread clashes with security personnel on the scale that will cause mayhem that will result in the overthrow of government. We have these on good authority. Now that the attempt to use the National Assembly to fraudulently sack the government has failed, the next salvo is the effort to infiltrate the armed forces of Nigeria in the hope of overthrowing the democratically elected federal government, and then justify this by claiming that the government was going to order a devastating clampdown on protesters. Hashtag March for Nigeria consequently wants to challenge the federal government, the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the Nigerian police to be alert to their responsibilities and not to allow anyone or group of persons to jeopardize our democracy. They should wake up to the antics of these sore losers and not view the revived NSAS protests as a mere agitation, but should treat them as part of coup ploy that they are. The Department of State, the DSS, should rise up to the challenge at hand by getting to the roots of the mutated NSAS movement by tracing the financiers and communications that is driving the attempt to visit instability on Nigeria. The Department of State should invite the key players of the protest for a meeting to tell Nigerians all they intend to achieve that cannot wait for the 2023 general election. EFCC and ICPC, as anti-graft agency, should trace the illicit financial flow that was deployed as Christmas bonanza to lawmakers that have been compromised to breach the rules of the hope of forcing an impeachment that does not conform with the rules. We want those making contacts with the military, whether from among protesters or from among oppositions, to desist from doing this forthwith. The military should be continually treated as the sacred institution that it is, not dragged into opposition politics. We equally renew an earlier appeal to Nigerians not to lend themselves out as tools for those seeking to foment trouble. The NSAS protest has since devolved into March for Nigeria movement, which is a coalition of Nigerians that are committed to constructively engage government at all levels in the manner that produces result, as opposed to the kind of destruction, lootings that undermine the efforts to hold members of the police to account. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and thank you for coming.